Hey guys, doing another video. This time I decided to do one that kind of ties into last year's theme. Last year I discussed a lot of R.L. Stine. This year, in this video, I'm going to be discussing R.L. Stine again. However, this time, instead of Goosebumps, I'm going to be ranking my favorite of his teen thrillers. From the worst one all the way to what I feel is his best teen thriller. Keep in mind, this isn't Fear Street. These are just standalone teen thrillers that I feel are from his very worst one up to what I feel is his very best one. So, let's get started. So, starting with the worst, I'd have to say Hit and Run. I find all of Stine's writing really cheesy. It's all very unrealistic in its characters, its plots. No, teenagers don't really act like how he writes teenagers or talk like how he writes teenagers' dialogue. It comes off as very cheesy, and I like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I love R.L. Stine. I genuinely enjoy his work, but just the way he writes kids and teenagers, that doesn't feel accurate. Even for the 90s, it doesn't feel like how kids talked back then. Nonetheless, I still enjoy his writing, and I do find it very entertaining. This particular book, though, even for his usual cheesy standards, doesn't do it. It's beyond cheesy. It's beyond terrible. Like, this surpasses his usual, it's dumb but it's fun, into just being straight dumb. And I have to say, out of everything Stine has written, I actually like this the least. So if you're wondering what the story is, it's about a group of kids, and conveniently their name is listed on the back here. Eddie, Scott, Winks, and Cassie. They decide to go out for a drive one night, just for practice, because Eddie's trying to get his driver's license, which, I can relate to. I just got mine. But then they accidentally hit somebody, and they think they kill him, and and like the title says, they just take off because they're like, oh shit, we don't want to get busted. So they take off, and then they start receiving like threatening messages, like somebody will leave like a letter in their mailbox, or like an envelope on their front porch or something, and they're trying to figure out who it is, because allegedly the person they hit is still alive and is coming after them. That's promising. That's a very promising premise that could lead to some pretty interesting creepiness. The thing that ruins it, aside from the character Winks, who is... all of Stine's novels have, the comedic side character that's always making stupid jokes and cracking up and stuff, and I fucking hate that. But he's worse than usual. Aside from him being the worst character Stine's ever created, how it ends and what the eventual climax turns out to be behind everything just ruins the whole thing. And the thing is, when Stine is on point, he can write really good teen thrillers, which I'm going to get to. But this isn't one of them. Hit and Run is definitely a hit and pass, in my opinion. So, skip this one if you're going to be interested in reading his teen thrillers outside of the Fear Street books. Next up is one I actually like a lot more. This is Beach Party. This is an earlier one he published. This one was published in 1990. He had published a few novels prior to this, in the late 80s. This is not a bad one. I actually really like the premise of this one. It's about a girl going out to California. She's decided she's just going to have a fun summer before she has to go back to school. She just got over a breakup, and there's these two guys that she's talking to, and she likes both of them, and she's trying to like make up her mind which one do I actually want to pursue, and there's someone after her. She starts, seeing traces of someone following her and threatening her. She's being stalked, and again, that's a good premise. And this one actually, while predictable, is still a better ending than the ending of Hit and Run, which was just abysmal and really fucking stupid. This one's predictable, but it's not bad. If you're going to be reading R.L. Stine teen thrillers, Beach Party is a more obscure one, but it's not bad. I think he's written better ones, but he certainly has written Hit and Run, which was worse than this one. This one's a little lower on the ones I like. There's some more ones after, like a little higher up that I like a little more. But Beach Party is not bad. I actually might read it again soon. So moving up to the list, we have Call Waiting. This one's pretty much neck and neck with Beach Party as much as I like it. Again, there's another character named Karen, the same name as a girl in Beach Party, which I just realized. I'm just reading the back here. It cracks me up. It says someone wants to talk to Karen badly, very badly. Someone who has something very special to say. Someone is calling Karen to say they care, to tell her the plans they've made just for her. Someone wants to reach out, touch her, kill her. Poor Karen, she's all alone this time. And if Karen can't trace the killer, call her. Karen's going to die. I actually really like this one. It's a lot higher up than Hit and Run, and about even with Beach Party. Although, again, the thing that ruins it is kind of the end of the climax. There's characters that come off, and as soon as they're introduced in the beginning, you know automatically they're the one that's, like, threatening her over the phone. But I enjoy it more just for how much of a fun, campy thrill ride it is. I also love the covers to these books. I love the attention to the art and the detail. I love just kind of like that style of illustration that you don't see anymore. Like, I don't know, there's just something about that highly realistic, detailed style and the little details of the background, like the Karen and Ethan Forever. It's just nice, and I wish cover art was still like that. Next up is one I actually like a lot. This is the Snowman. I used to think this was one of his worst ones, and then I reread it a few years ago, and I realized it's actually much better than most of his standalone teen thrillers. This one is about a girl named Heather. She lives with her aunt and uncle, and they're just complete assholes, especially her uncle. He just treats her like shit. He's taking care of her because her parents died, and they left her like a fortune, but she can't touch it till she turns 18, and she's stuck living with them. And that money's just there for her to go to college, but once she turns 18, she can take it out, go to college, and move out. And she's kind of just biding her time, which again, that's a great setup. I like that premise. I like just that as a story idea is very interesting. And like even Heather even has like daydreams of like killing her uncle, which is actually how the novel starts. And she has a boyfriend that she talks to, but she kind of finds him immature because he is, and she works at a restaurant as like a waitress in the shopping mall. And she meets this dude. He comes in one day, and he's like this mysterious, icy-eyed, blonde stranger, and he's, Mr. Dreamboat, and she's automatically attracted to him. They get to talking. They, flirt a little, and, they drive her around town, and he's talking to her, and being Mr. Charming Man. And then, she's trying to tell her, trying to think of ways to tell her boyfriend, like, hey, I don't think we can do this anymore, but she doesn't want to tell him, because she's scared. And meanwhile, someone starts following her. Like, she's driving home from work one night, and, like, a car just keeps following her. And, like, she'll turn left down a road, and the car will turn left, And she's scared. And then this starts happening more and more. And eventually, as you can imagine, Mr. Dreamboat guy isn't the perfect boyfriend he's seen, and things get crazy from there. It actually is surprising how violent and intense this gets. Stine doesn't usually go this far. There's some crazy shit that goes on towards the end of this, and has a crazy and actually very satisfying finale. Like, I actually love the way it ends. Like, the Snowman is actually like one of the best teen thrillers Stine has written. It has its faults, like everything else he's done, and there's certainly a lot of flaws, and not only the writing and characters, but like structurally, like as often, like almost everything he does, like he'll set up a chapter, and then there'll be like a cliffhanger where it seems like something fucking crazy happens, and then you get to the next chapter and it was all like, oh, it was in her mind the whole time, or oh, it was just her friend pulling a prank on her. Like, it's always something like that. I hate the damn cliffhanger, faux suspenseful cliffhangers. I know there's nothing crazy happening that early. I know that he's just trying to get a scare out of his young audience, but seriously, I wish he wouldn't do it. And it's something that's always bothered me. Even when I was a kid reading Goosebumps, he would like set up and end his chapters that way, and it would drive me crazy. Unfortunately, that does happen here in Snowman, but fuck it, it's still a good book, especially for Stine. And if you like campy, cheesy thrillers, this is a good one to go with. Okay, moving on to another one of his best, and also his first novel for teen thrillers. I have Blind Date. Blind Date is really good. Actually, it's high up there. Like, I think it's one of the best novels he's written. And I love that cover art. Again, that's some really great cover art. Those Scholastic illustrators, man. But this is great. It was his first teen novel. It was published in the mid-'80s. And it's just about this guy named Carrie. He's had a rough time. Like, he broke his leg playing football. And then earlier, like the year before, like, he was in a car accident. And his brother disappeared from his life. And he kind of repressed the memory of it. He can only remember like certain flashes of it. And he started getting phone calls from someone like threatening him, like threatening to like, you know, watch out and stuff. And it's very violent. It's like this person with like a sharp, raspy voice. And, you know, sorry, I just saw that there was a novelization for the Karate Kid Part 2 in here. And then, sorry. And he at first is like, who is this? And then he just keeps getting it. And he thinks it's like his friend who's like goofy and shit. Because there's always that goofy side character in Stine books. And his friend's like, not me, man. And it's obvious that it's not his friend because that's too obvious. So at the same time, who it actually is becomes very obvious when he meets a girl who lives apparently on another side of town that he doesn't know about, and she's like the perfect girlfriend, but she also acts really weird and strange, and then like when there's crowds of people, she'll just slip out of sight, and she like doesn't act like a normal person, but he still goes out with her anyway because I mean he's you know, he's lonely. I'm sure he probably, I'm sure a lot of guys would probably ignore some weird behavior from a girl just to go out with her. It's actually not as unbelievable as that might sound, at least to me. And anyways, he gets a phone call from her, and she says, "I'm your blind date." And so that's how he meets her, and then things seemingly go great, and then at the very end is when things like kick into high gear, and then like shit starts hitting the fan. And it's actually a pretty good reveal. There's like, she's connected to his brother who disappeared, and you find out how he's connected. You find out what happened in the car crash, and a lot of great, it's actually a very good setup and payoff here. Like, this is actually probably the best like novel Stine has written like ever. Like, it feels more mature and adult than a lot of this stuff. Again, there's problems and there's flaws with it, like everything else he's done, but this actually is not only an interesting and very well done premise, but It's a very well told story and a very compelling novel. Like when I reread it like last year, I was surprised at just how good the writing actually was. Like he would never be this good again, which is sad because it was his first novel. But definitely check it out. Blind Date is a really good novel, and it could even stand up to my better teen writers like Christopher Pike. But anyways, check it out, and there again is that really fantastic cover art. So recommend that. Okay, and let's see. Next is a series. I couldn't just pick one, so I'm going to be talking about all 4 of the Babysitter. Now, out of the 4, the first one is the best. Again, some great cover art, which that cover actually says everything you need to know. But this is a fucking saga. So, again, the first one is the best one, so I'll be mainly talking about this one. But the first one it sets everything up. It's about a girl named Jenny, and she takes gigs as a babysitter. Like if some rich dude needs to go out with his wife for the night, they call her. She watches the kids. She watches TV with them, makes them do their homework, fixes them a snack, or even makes dinner. Puts them to bed, waits for the parents to come home. Pretty simple, one and done, easy job. And she takes a job for a guy whose last name is Hagen. And everything, from the get-go, when she takes the job, isn't as hunky-dory as it, could be. Like, the house is old, and it's creaky, and it gives her the creeps. And then she gets several phone calls. Like, someone starts, saying things like, I'm watching you, and starts threatening her, basically. And it turns out, I don't want to give anything away, but there's a character that's established early on. There's a few side characters that are established. And the one that it so obviously isn't is a red herring for the one that is, but it's obvious. However, what I really liked it anyway, because tonally this is a really good one. This kind of hits that sweet spot in that could actually